Thank you, Mauricio. When I was reading that, there were certain parts of it that really, really touched me, and I saw that I personally was going through some of these things this week. I hope it was clear when I was reading it in the English so that everybody could understand. Does anyone have anything to add to or to speak about how the message spoke to them?
Um, I really, first of all, thank you for the message, Mauricio. I really liked more how it emphasized the idea that we're not, okay, just let me, we're not dissociated from, when different parts of us are dissociated, it's really not a way to walk with God, because even the simple things are in God's hands. Not so that we relinquish our responsibility, but we should. The wonder and fear of God is even in the small things. I remember with Mildred. Hi, Mildred. It's just a small story. I'm eating the black licorice that she was eating yesterday, and I remember you were saying that Mildred said she didn't feel so well, and she was going over the items that that she ate, and she said, God told me, or however she worded it, that the black licorice, she was eating way too much black licorice. Now it sounds frivolous, but why that stood out to me is normally I'd say, okay, that's a little, maybe overdoing it a little bit. But then I remember what I had read about pure black licorice, which I'm eating now, and I was eating too much, and I just looked it up, and it said licorice. I forget the wording, but the gist of it is that it's a very potent. It's a very potent mixture.
Organic licorice.
Black licorice I'm talking about. So
Organic.
anyway, it's very potent, and it's very good for many things. Good for the throat. Good for, but you have to eat very little, because if you eat too much every day, you could get actually almost poisoned. There's something very dangerous in eating too much black licorice. And here Mildred had said this simple thing that God let her know she was eating too much licorice, and that's why she was feeling dizzy or whatever she was feeling. And I would sort of say, okay, it's cute, but is that, but it was true. God is holistic. He's with us in the little things and the big things. And it's for us to pay attention and to, worship him and fear him, not in a way that like, oh, I'm afraid if I do this, he's going to punish me, but in really a way of reverence. Anyway, thank you, Mauricio. It was very good.
For me, it's always searching the motivation and the intentions of my heart when I do something.
Yeah, right.
Because often I feel incapable of doing what I've been called to do. And it's so easy for us to say these things. And I asked myself even this week, am I being a hypocrite? Am I really doing this because of my motives are right? Or, what am I wasting my time? Do I deceive? All these things that you wrote, Mauricio, came into my mind this week. And then I have to remember that really God is in control, and he knows our frailty, he knows our weaknesses, and but we also have to be careful, because I spoke to a woman that Miriam put me on the phone with this week, and in her, she comes from the Orient, and in the Middle East, especially in Islam, everything is, God is in control of everything, and we have no choice over anything, and that is wrong also. We do have choices. That's why God gave us free will. So walking with God is such a delicate balance. It's so difficult. Each and every day, we have to constantly be aware of our thought processes, and this idea of reverence. Oh my goodness, how that has been lost in this world. There's so little reverence when we go before God. I see that, believe it or not, more in the synagogues than I do in the churches, because still people have reverence. You go into maybe in the high churches you see it. You go in and there's a sense of an awesome presence of God. but not today when you go into many of the evangelical churches where people come in, they walk with sandals, they walk with sneakers, they walk in any way they want. But and I sometimes I go into a Zoom Shabbat service, a meeting with someone, and I see that they're doing the prayers, but there's no reverence in it. There's no real. It's hard to explain it, but we have to understand how great is our God, and there's absolutely no explanation for who He is, and we can't define Him in any way, and that He loves us and He has chosen us. It's that enough should be enough for us to
Excuse me.
live in awe. Yes,
I
Holly.
was thinking what you said, Peggy.
Yeah.
Also, I struggle with all the time about why am I doing this? The right motives? Am I doing it maybe for the wrong reasons? Or I think I should, or I want attention, blah, blah, blah. But just as you say a lot, and it's true that love is not a feeling in the sense of Hollywood movies. Obedience is not a feel. We have to accept our frailties, and it's an action, but it's not an action. In your heart of hearts that you love God and that you revere Him, so that that's the basis. But will you feel that all the time in your humanity? Sometimes maybe you'll do something to say, wow, this, now I'm talking for myself, wow, that was well worded. Like it gets sort of you're going to impress people with the way you did something. And
Right.
I know that's human.
Right.
And I saw Miriam, stop being arrogant and whatever, but I can waste my energy worrying about I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and just ask myself, what are the motives behind all this in my heart of hearts, and accept that, and stop wrestling all the time with our humanity. Okay, we're going to do it anyway. I do it all the time, but you're never going to have pure motives because you're human.
Exactly.
You're going to say, I wonder if so and so what he thinks of me, or what does this sound like to people. We're weak. We're humans. It's like when a child says, look what I just did. Look what I just did. And the parents say, oh, very nice. But they're just being formed. Their egos are being formed. We're still like children in ways. I remember I knew a pastor, and this really angered me. And I forget if I told him or not, but his son was, I guess, around 17 or 18. And he so wanted his parents, at this point, it was his father, to be proud of him. And he said, are you proud of me? And to me, the father should say, I love you and I'm proud of you, but put the right perspective. But instead, the father became so legalistic and said, pride is wrong. Blah, blah. The son just wanted reassurance as a human young man growing up. So sometimes we have to just look at our humanity and even laugh at it and say, okay, I'm weak, and move on and say, what is in the deepness of my heart? It goes beyond these sort of frailties. So I think that's what we always have to look at, what resides in the deep part of us.
Yes. Yes, Holly. You wanted to say something.
That was a really good message, Mauricio. Thank you. Peggy, I was wondering if you could send me the quote that he read about like the definition of fear. Fear is the awareness that I have no control. It went on for maybe 4 or 5 sentences.
Yeah, well, I'll be sending out I send out the whole message every week. Do you want just that particular?
Yeah, that's true. I can just listen to it again.
No, I sent out the written one too.
Oh, the written one. Okay, yeah, that would be great.
Do you get them?
Maybe? I don't know.
Okay, because I send them out every week, so.
Yeah. I get like 20 to 30 emails a day that I have to actually deal with and write back to, so it's hard to remember what I get.
Is that all?
What?
Is that all? Yeah.
Well, I would like to add some of the parts that obviously I couldn't write on the message, but honestly, this week on Monday, I was feeling like a pressure in myself, like an anxiety. Um, and it came to my mind some like kind of sadness, but I couldn't, you know, I tried to make a known, simply test about myself, what I did, why, you know, but it's just that I feel like a sadness inside of me, okay, with no reason. And probably I was very tired. I was, probably the dealing with the company of water for over a month, probably just put me faint. But uh, but I was really, and I was in my car. It was raining very hard outside my home, and when I was parking my car, I started to cry. Uh, and I had, I don't know, probably 5 years of not crying, okay,
Wow.
or more. So, and I felt so guilty inside of myself, and I said, "Oh, God, you know, it's just that I, and those things that I wrote is what I felt, okay.
Right.
I'm not good enough. Uh, you don't deserve to be before God, to be in a community, things like that. Okay. Uh, so it was like a shocking inside of me, and I felt very, very sad. And it came to my mind a psalm that says, it's written in Psalms 51 verse 12, and it says that God, uh, bring me back the happiness of your salvation, okay, and an obedient spirit that sustains me, more or less. Uh, so uh, and then it was like, it was like a pressure inside of me that I had to explode, okay. And I said, why do I need? Because God is always helping us, moment, every second. Okay, it's very simple. He shows his salvation through your heart is beating, for example. You're not doing nothing to breathe, to pump your heart, things like that. Okay, so God is his mercy is there, his his loving kindness is there, okay, to have your senses, to have the ability to be human, to not to feel compassion about his creation. So but I didn't feel a happiness of his salvation, okay. I know that is there. So in some way, there is a level that God is you are aware, you you hear, you have in your mind, but sometimes do not goes through your heart, okay. And that spark is Yirat Hashem. You go to that moment that you say, okay, I'm not in control. I'm not in control of everything that happens around me. Okay, I am not in control about my dad's, for example, health. I'm not in control of my own health. I'm not in control of politics or laws or whatever. I'm not in control. But God, Hashem is in control of everything. And when you go at this point, you doesn't only know, you start to live. Okay, I'm not in control. He's in control. For that reason, He's watching always on me. For that reason, he's always hearing me. For that reason, he is writing my deeds on a book. Okay. And then you start to walk before God. And that is what happened in many personalities in Tanakh. For example, it says that there was a man who walks before God. That means it's not that he was, God doesn't have a corpse, okay, obviously.
A body.
Yeah, he doesn't have a body. So that the point is, he was walking with a conscience that God always was close to him. He was watching. And then when that's the reason I start to write all these things. And when I read the text, I could find that in some way, when you are under his protection, under his control, then you get peace.
Right.
And then the joy returns to you.
Right. Because we can only control what he's given us to control. The rest is up to him. If we just spent the time controlling what we know, like you say, your health is in God's control. Yes, it's in God's control, but also part of it is in our control. If I go to McDonald's every day and I eat junk every day, I'm going to get sick. So I do have certain control. But at the same time, if I try to control the things that are his job to control, that's when I'm going to fail. And that's a tendency to do it. And I'm hearing how God is speaking to so many people right now that it's not just this little group who's going to reveal the truth to the world. It's God's job to do that. Andres, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, I was thinking of what Marisa was saying. Thank you, Marisa, for the message. When you say that, we're not in control and all of that, like things happen and we feel like we're helpless, things like that. Yirat Hashamayim, I think it's two ways, there's two aspects. There's the believing in God, like the faith in God, the emunah, and also the bitachon. Then you have to apply it, and that's when everything is, when the Rabbi used to say it's honky-dory, like it's easy, it's it's easy to have faith. But then when you get the challenges, to apply that faith,
right?
Because if you don't have the challenges, there is no applications, there's no learning. You need to have theory and then practice, right? You need to have both in order to really understand. So the Yirat Hashamayim, it's very good. Like you have to say, okay, I don't have the control, so I'm gonna, now it's the time to apply the emunah, now to have trust in God, bitachon. And yeah, we don't have control about a bunch of things, but we have control about how we perceive the challenges. It's not about I think it's not about the why, but the what.
Exactly.
Change the why to the what.
But I think
what can I understand? What can I get from this? And not necessarily have the why, because sometimes the why we will never know. It's just the what.
But I think what I understood also, yeah, Andres, that's true. But when we go through, let's say, times like when Mauricio was saying, when we don't feel, we're sad, and it's not because we don't agree with that, but it's for whatever reason God is, well, we're not feeling the joy that God promises us. He says he even orders us to be joyful. So when we're not feeling that, the challenge is to still act, do the right things. But I think because God's a whole, our lives are whole, that God will give us the joy in time. But we still have to, faith and trust. That's true. But there are times of, the sloth of despond, like that book, when you're in the sloth of despond, or when you're feeling not feeling joyful at all. Those are the times when you still do the things that God has given us to do.
Exactly. Because
That's the challenge.
how can we feel joy 100% of the time? We
No,
have to
no,
be
but I'm saying
normal.
that's what I understand. Mauricio wasn't
Yeah.
saying that he didn't believe, or he knew God's in control. But when you feel those desert times, or what a lot of people call the authors call the night of darkness, or I forget, the night of the soul's
The dark
darkness.
night of the soul.
Yeah, I
But
mean those.
we need those piercings. It's like when he says, I'm going to circumcise your heart. It's a piercing that really brings us to that state of humility, of that state of really realizing how small we are before God. And we come out better. He's changing us. And it's a metaphysical process.
Yeah, the point is that sometimes we trend as human beings to have an standards. We live in a world that is standardized,
Right.
and probably you're not aware. But for example, to produce, for example, this bottle, this company, if you check inside of here,
Right.
there is a label that says that there is under some standard
Right.
association that gives the authorization to produce this because it's according to this norm or this standard.
Exactly.
Everything is like that. Your
Yes.
computer, your food. So we are bombarded by the world to have a standard, okay? And this standard start to go inside your mind, inside your heart. So the goal becomes to comply the standard
Right.
and not live by the standard, which is a little bit different.
Right.
How? For example, when you try to, for example, do not disobey. Okay, I would say like a kill. Okay, I know that there is a standard that God says, hey, disobeying is not good, okay, because brings you consequences, and is more wise to be obedient person. But the kill not is he focused on what? Okay, I'm not going to disobey my dad and my mom. So his goal is not be obedient. His goal is not disobey.
Right.
So so that makes and creates a pressure, okay, that every time that you are trying not to fail, you fail. Okay, it's like for example, this week I have to authorize the when the shipments depart uh, from the Cajutra port, which is our port. They have to call me. Okay, so at that night, I was telling Evelyn, for example, I do not, you know, I cannot rest because I have to be, yes, I can close my eyes and try to sleep, but inside of me, I am pending of the wrinkle. Okay, so I'm not capable to rest because inside of me is like, oh, somebody is going to call me probably at 2 or 3 a.m.
Right.
So you're not resting. So it's the same. You're not in the control. You have a lot of misbot. You have the 10 words, and you know, it's like, yeah, there is a standard for us, and we have to live by them,
Right.
but not focus but live is not just trying to say, yeah, I'm gonna do every, because that really faints your heart, faints your spirit.
Right.
Yeah, you feel not resting,
Exactly.
and
I
so
think,
yeah, when you connect this and you say, okay, God's in control, you are applying your emunah, because it's like, okay, God, I am, I cannot, you can, okay, so you start to rest.
right,
And when you start to rest, is your bitahon, because you know that there is a force under control.
right, exactly. I think that's what happens in religion when you talked about building a fence around the law and or being a fence around the Torah, and that's what the rabbis have done, is spend so much time building a fence around the Ten Commandments so that they have a lot of room to be able to behave, but it creates them looking for a way out of doing what they have to do. Like they make a law and then they have to make another law on top of that one and another law, and it makes us crazy after a while. And I liked what you said about the time of the judges. Everyone was doing what was right in their own eyes, and we see that's happening again, and that's why there's so much chaos in society, because there are no we need to live with certain standards, and the leaders need to be the ones leading the way, and the leaders are not leading that way right now. So, oh my
Yeah,
God.
I would like to add two things more. Okay, one is what the Pirkei Avot says about making disciples. Okay, this is about the process of learning. Okay,
Right, right.
okay, and it's interesting how the religion creates a new religion that the goal is make not disciples but believers.
Right.
Okay,
Converting to a way of believing.
converting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when we say disciple, is about, okay, you have a talmidim who really is not is a person that that you can grow with him and he can grow with you.
Yes.
Okay,
And you
so
need to be willing to listen and learn and question to grow. Otherwise, you can't teach unless you're
yeah,
willing to learn. Yeah.
so the goal is not converting.
No,
Okay, yeah,
exactly. That's what Rabbi Percy would always say. Don't convert from one religion to another. It's a very different thing. Exactly.
yeah, and the last one thing is about it's about this portion that I know it's about yesterday I was in a seminary, in a congress of United Nations, that they were explaining about gender. Okay,
Ooh.
so Spanish is different from in this case English. Okay, because we know when we are referring to female and when we are referring to a male.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly. Exactly.
in English is more neutral,
Yeah. Same
the
in
language.
Hebrew. In Hebrew,
Yeah,
yeah.
so right now we have they were talking about that we need to call, for example, um, in Spanish, in English is just the teacher, for example, but for us is profesor, man, profesora,
Profesora.
woman. Okay, and then you have to separate everybody. So I just ask them, okay, why you are dividing people? You are like splitting people. You say, okay, you are woman, you are men, so you are not integrating. And it's interesting that the way they express it, that is relatively new to integrate woman to the society, I just said, you never read the Torah. Okay. Torah integrates woman since the beginning. Okay. And also because we are looking this because we need to integrate different kind of people to the crop. Okay, so they say, okay, you have to integrate woman to work, to have a job like a man. Okay, for me it's not about, okay, yes, it's good to have a roles, but that's why the people is losing the society, because people started to lose their role as woman and as a man. Okay, and it's not about values, it's about functions. Okay, and I was wondering that these people supposedly are very prepared with a scholar. Okay, and but they don't have any idea about what the Torah says. Okay, the mother gives life. That's why it's King Hava. Okay, Kaya live life. Okay,
Right.
you are bringing life to the family, to the society. That's why the woman disobeyed Paro to save the kids on Egypt, the Hebrew
Right.
babies. Okay,
Right.
because women they protect. Okay, brings life, and the man has also a role. And the point is, all this tendency in the world is just to confuse people. Okay, and probably that's why it says in some of the prophets, the Babylon, which is a mixing of everything, is going to fight with the Lord, because
Right.
is about it's not that someone is going to really punch God.
Right.
No, the point is that their kind of thinking is completely different from the Torah.
Right.
Okay, from our God.
Right.
So I want to share also this.
Right. Saraí, tú algunas cosas a decir de nuestra mensaje?
Muchas gracias, Mauricio. Muy hermosa la enseñanza y como nos pones siempre de ejemplo algunas cosas que pasan en tu vida. Es algo hermoso. No sé si quieras decirle a Peggy de lo que te estoy diciendo y a los demás que hablan en inglés. Es cierto, hay que reflexionar en que estos días es un temor hacia el Eterno, pero un temor sano, a no defraudarlo, a hacer las cosas bien, a estar conscientes de que tenemos esa necesidad de su ayuda, de su aprobación y su bendición. Eso es lo que...
Okay, she said that, thank you, Mauricio, for the message. Yes, it is true, many things that you said. The fear of God is not about having it's a fear that is healthy. Okay,
Right.
first. Second, she said that in these days we need to fear God, and also al final se me olvidó. I just forget.
That's okay. She said a lot at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we need to be conscious, okay,
Yes.
about his fearing.
Yeah. And the fear fear has a different understanding. It's a reverence. It's an awesomeness.
Yeah.
How great it's not to. Oh, I'm so afraid of him. He's going to hurt me. Yeah, yeah. It's not that at all. Thank you again, Mauricio. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. So we'll see you on Tuesday night for the Kol Nidre service. And we continue to ask God to search our hearts before Yom Kippur as we prepare to rejoice during Sukkot. And when all nations will come to send their ambassadors to worship God at the holy mountain of Yerushalayim. And anyway, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom. And it's good to see you.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you.
Buena semana.
Buenas
Gracias,
semanas.
buena semana.
Shavuot tov.
Adiós. Shabbat tov. Bye.
Bye.